yachty yachty. I'm feeling like Gucci Cardi. I turn up the party yachty. I turn up the
Welcome
party yachty.
to another episode of the Notes Friend Zone podcast. Well, I'm Marcus, also known as your favorite Virgo, and I'm sitting here with my best friend, my BFF, my Marcus Burnett, to my Mike Lowry. Bad boys for life. We ride together, we die together. Bad boys for life.
Hey, it's your girl B. So we're coming to you guys this week and we're gonna get what we calling it? Get naked.
Yeah, you got to get real with each other. You got to get honest. Although I know everything about you, but everybody else don't know everything about you. So we got to get honest. We got to get real.
Okay, so this week we're gonna start with something that we heard or saw that was an inspiration to us.
Something you saw, something you heard. Let's hear it. Something you saw, something you heard.
You know what I saw this week?
Nope, you got to tell me.
I was in church for 6 hours. 6 hours on Saturday. I went to go see the Prophet Mike. We were there from 6 p.m. till midnight. The thing that was inspiring, you know how people like to go around and complain and have those, I ain't gonna call them sob stories because everybody do go through stuff. But listening to the testimonies and the demons that people actually fight and the things that other people actually go through, let me know. There's always somebody who has it worse off than you. Always. So be grateful for your trials, your tribulations. Be grateful. That was an inspiring moment for me. I wanted to pat myself on the back because Lord knows I don't like to sit nowhere. 6 hours, but 6 hours on Saturday, I did it, and that was an inspiration. It
Yep.
was such an inspirational experience.
That could have possibly been the best 6 hours of your life because it puts stuff in perspective to let you know that your worst situation somebody's praying for. You
Absolutely.
know, you in the house and you say, "Oh my God, I got to pay for this light bill." Somebody is somewhere praying for light. You saying, "Oh my God, the gas bill is about to go up because the winter is coming." Someone is praying for just to have some type of shelter. So sometimes God will put us in places where we are able to put what we go through into perspective. Let's see. Something I saw, something I heard this week. I'm gonna go with saw. Um, what's that saying? Everybody say now, life be life. So
Yes.
sometimes, life was lifing, and um, my cousin Tashika, everybody know as Twan. She also have a show here. I think every Wednesday at 9, the Milk and Honey Show. And she sent me a text message. She always texted me, so I saw it. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll get back to her. I text her back. So this week I actually went to text her back, and it was actually a menu of everything that she wanted to do for Thanksgiving. She wanted us all to come over for Thanksgiving. And I think we take stuff like that for granted because when I read that text message, the first thing I thought about was growing up Saturdays at my grandmother's house. Um, where she would just disappear. It'd be a house full of us, all of my cousins, my mom, my dad, aunties, uncles. It'd be a house full of us, and she'd disappear. You're like, okay, where grandma go? Then all of a sudden, you start smelling food from the kitchen. And then you'll go back there. And the moment you reach to get some, she'll smack your
You better
hand.
not reach in
And she
that
say,
pot.
that's for Sunday. And people people miss out on stuff like that when the grandmothers would cook on Saturday for Sunday. And we all knew, like, if you want to eat, you got to show up to church. And so that's something that I saw this week that really inspired me to get through the rest of the week, just to be able to go there on Thursday and just feel the love of family. Although I'm not big on soul food, everybody know I don't eat the greens and the chitlins and all. I don't eat that. But the love that comes with that soul food is what inspires me and is what I'm looking forward to. So I can't wait just to be around my family.
You know what? And I just want to touch base on that as well. I believe COVID, that was a time that let us know how important it was to spend time with our families because those 2 years when you couldn't, people outside the household, don't you come over here, you ain't got no mask on. So I'm with you. I'm actually grateful and looking forward to having that family time on Thursday.
But the idea of COVID, I love the word perspective because we all have to have some type of perspective. COVID definitely, it showed a lot of people you with who you should be with, or you not with who you should be with. So COVID did a whole lot, So yeah, so it's a lot that we're gonna talk about today. So I'm not gonna waste any time. We're gonna get right into it. One of the topics we have for today is generational curses. What is a generational curse to you? What are some of the things? What are some of the ways in which you think you can break those curses, whether it's personally or it's culturally or society? What are some of those generational curses in which you wish that you can break?
So I went to Google and asked the AI chatbot, what is their definition of generational curses? I'm going to give mine too now, but we're going to ask Google first.
Okay.
A generational curse is the idea that negative traits, dysfunctional patterns, or misfortunes can be passed down from one generation to the next. These curses are often thought to be rooted in ancient family trauma. That's what Google gave us.
Well, the word that first popped out to me was trauma. Okay. So what's some of the generational curses that you experienced in your culture
Growing
or
up.
in your generation or within your family that you wish that you can break?
The one thing that I experienced as a kid, you weren't allowed to talk back. And I think that our elders during that time, children are people too,
Hmm.
and they need to express themselves too. My grandmother, my dad's mom, she always taught me, well, she told me this, I was like 11, 12 years old. She said, there's a way that you can express yourself without being disrespectful.
Hmm.
I carried that with me from that day forward. Yes, grandma, there is a way. And that was something that stuck with me for the reason of saying, kids, you shouldn't talk back. Like even in school, teachers will tell you you shouldn't talk back. Well, I'm in trouble. I want to know, why am I in trouble? I believe that I should be owed that much. Like, what did I do? Why am I going? Remember 050?
Yeah.
Why am I going to 050?
Um, as it relates to me, as it relates to generational curse, I feel that it should be a little of something for everything. Because just as well as my mom couldn't raise me the way in which her parents raised her, I can't raise my kids the way in which my mom raised me. But if you take a little bit of each generation, it should definitely help a generation that we have now. Now, for me,
Agreed.
as it relates to curses, um, I don't even necessarily want to say it's a curse, but it's something that went on within a community, especially the black community. The what happens in his house stays in his house.
Oh, that's a good one.
And I think those are one of the things in which we have to try to move away from, because now in this generation, they take that to heart. And you have no idea the type of trauma or the type of situations that they be going through, but they have the stigma that, oh, I can't tell someone this, or I can't reach out to this person because it happened in his house and I don't want to make someone upset. So I think we have to do a better job of letting them know that it's okay to speak your truth, and it's you didn't do anything wrong. Because one of the things I always think about is that people walk around dealing with trauma and they hold on to it because of that old saying that what happens in this house stays in this house.
I absolutely agree with that. Along with like what you're saying about the trauma, which brings me to the next thing. This is a cultural difference,
Hmm.
but it goes along with generational curses as well. Um, our people aren't so savvy when it comes to therapy. Like we think because you go to therapy, oh, it means you're crazy or you have some type of mental disturbance, when actually it doesn't. We all need somebody to talk to. Goes back to what you said about what happens in this house stays in this house. Like it's okay not to be okay. And you can share it with somebody and it doesn't go beyond that conversation or beyond that room. My apologies. It doesn't go beyond that room.
But that also falls all the way into the idea of what society tells us is acceptable and what's not acceptable.
Mm,
Reason being, I know this may sound a little biased because we all like to feel that we got the greatest parents. Your parent is the greatest parent, my parents
yes.
the greatest parent. We always feel that way. But I like to believe that my parents was extremely supportive, both mom and dad. My dad never told me, as a boy, you're not supposed to cry or you're not supposed to show emotion. Or my mom never told me, you crazy if you go to therapy. But somehow, some way along the way, when I grew up, I felt as if I show weakness if I cried. I show weakness if I showed emotion, or something must be wrong with me if I go to therapy. So, although that wasn't in my household, that was something that somehow that was instilled in me, that therapy is taboo. So, what are some of the ways, or what are some of the things that we have to do to try to help our younger generation to say that it's okay to seek help and know you're not crazy or know you're not weird if you go to therapy? So, what are some of the things you feel as if we could do to help promote that?
My biggest thing has been since I've been in therapy 3 years now, I want to say, and I'm a huge advocate for it. Like, even when it, like you said, when it comes to the younger generation, just preach it to them. Let them know it's okay to go. It's okay to go see a therapist. But some people find it therapeutic. They find other things therapeutic than just
Mhm.
talking to a psychologist. So you got younger boys, they might look to sports. Girls who might draw or might sing or get into acting. So I think, like, if we can find a way to combine those things, maybe, then we may possibly help them to understand that it's okay to actually go to a therapist. Say it's like after school activities or some type of extracurricular program that they have, and you spend this time talking to somebody, and then you go into the drama part of what you like to do.
Um, I think all of that is important, but I think the biggest part that's important as it relates to, especially dealing with the younger generation, is having a follow through.
Mm.
We always, because I know I'm a victim of it. I'm also a person that have done it. We would give solutions, but we don't give how to get that solution. Because I can speak for myself. I'm a big advocate for therapy, not just because it's a good thing to say or it's a good thing to do, because I actually done it. But I also can admit that the first 2.5 to 3 months of therapy was a waste of time and money because I refused to be open. I refuse to have this woman make me more vulnerable than I already felt when I went in there. So it's one thing to tell the younger generation, hey, you need to go to therapy, but we have to let them know that it's okay to be vulnerable. There is not a sense of weakness because you're being vulnerable. That there is no haha, I got you moment just by being vulnerable, because especially with men, because we have this stigma that, you know, if you cry, you weak. If you show emotion, you weak. If you show vulnerability, you weak. We have to get away from that.
But you know what? That's a great point. And that actually goes with, starting at home as well. Because I'll say this, being a football mom, I've noticed other mothers will say, "Oh, there you go crying like a girl."
Hmm.
I despise that so bad because I'm the person to say, like you said, it's okay to cry. Every day is not going to be a good day. So you have to make these young men, because you were talking about how we have to be with males. You have to make these young men feel comfortable, like you said, with being vulnerable. But that comes with, something's going to have to come into play with those parents as well. So we need to find, everybody's addicted to social, not everybody, but the majority is addicted to social media. And I think the parents that are like that, that's usually their thing, and we'll have to find a way to get through to them for it to be a trickle down effect to the children.
But you know what? I actually like the fact that you mentioned parents,
Mhm.
because I feel um, it gets to a point that we have to stop holding our parents accountable for where we are as an adults, because our parents can only take us so far. And not only can they take us so far, they can only give us what they got. You know, we want our parents, like for example, you know, I took for granted when I was growing up, my dad say, "Oh, come on, let's go fishing." I can't stand fishing. I hate fishing, but not knowing that was something he was trying to do, because that was something he didn't receive. So in my mind, I didn't look at it like, okay, but what if I did like fishing? And what if he didn't really know how to fishing? I mean, didn't really know how to fish.
Fish.
I'm upset with him for not taking me fishing, not knowing that he can't give me something that he never received. So I think we have to get to a point where we stop holding our parents so accountable for what we have or didn't have and start holding ourselves accountable and saying, I want better for not only for me, but for the people that come after me. And I think it takes a lot of soul searching to get to that point.
I agree. It does. It does.
They've been saying they can't hear us. I don't know why they can't hear us. Let's see.
Yeah, it does. It takes a lot of soul searching. Um, I
I
told
hope that's better.
I told
Right,
my
good.
best friend. I talked to her and I told her, I'm like, you know what? I think your friend is in a good place. I think I'm healed. Girl, you're not healed. You're not healed. You're still growing. I'm still learning and I'm healing. But healed, no, because there's always room to grow.
Yeah, that's the difference between being broke and broken. You know, if you broke, there's no room for repair. But if you're broken, you can fix it. So I tell people all the time, you're not healed, you hurt. When you hurt, you can go to the doctor. And sometimes the doctor's going to therapy. And sometimes that's having conversation with friends. Sometimes that's actually learning how to meditate and put yourself first. So that's one of the things that I like to tell people.
That's my message every day at the end for Snap. When you start your day, I always tell people be selfish, whether it's 6 minutes or 60 minutes. Always have some time for yourself because if we don't take care of ourselves, how we going to take care of everybody else?
I like
Can't pour from an empty cup.
I like to call it you have to be unselfishly selfish.
Mm.
Unselfish enough that you selfish to take care of yourself. And a lot of times we always no, we ain't gonna get into that right now because we'll be on it all day as it relates to how much we pour into other people without getting poured back into us. So we're gonna get to the next topic. Privilege. Does it exist in society? Privilege as far as that pretty girl privilege or that good looking privilege or the hierarchy of wealth. Does privilege exist? And if it does, how has it impacted you personally? Not even just in general. I'm talking to you right now. I'm talking to my BFF.
Whoa, that's deep.
I never had this conversation with you before, so let's hear it.
Whoa, well, we said we're going to get naked today. So I'm going to go back. Let's go to the previous job. That old job, you remember that
Mhm.
job? Privilege. Now, I had counterparts who were Caucasian.
Mhm.
They were trained. The training was different for them than it was for me. So I had my boss, he was black. And the boss always, he talked about this. He talked about this. We went to HR. I went on leave. Then when I came back, my boss was gone. So they asked me, they were transitioning over to a new software. I had been on leave for 3 months. So I say, okay, when is training going to start for this new software? Oh, you're going to get trained when everyone else gets trained. Everyone else has already had their hands on this. This
Mm.
is my first time. So now, fast forward, didn't receive too much training. They gave us a book of 100 and something pages. You look in this book, there is nothing that can get you. You know how you have like an introduction and a good table of contents
Right.
that can get you what you need? Nothing spoke to anything that I was doing in my position. So fast forward a week later. Oh, we're going to write you up because of your productivity. I said, hmm? I said, well, I'm still trying to get used to things. I've been gone for 3 months.
So they trying to tell you to dig a hole without a shovel.
Yeah, yeah. I said, I've been gone for a while. I said, I'm still getting used to things. Okay, well, we'll touch base back on this next week. Monday, we were off. I can't remember what holiday it was. I think it was Juneteenth. They gave
Mm-hmm.
us Juneteenth off. Tuesday. Oh, hi, Brittany. I saw it was HR at 9 o'clock in the morning. I said, yes. Oh, yeah, we didn't like your feedback from Thursday's meeting. So yeah, we were gonna eliminate your position at the end of the year because we are downsizing, but we're gonna accelerate the elimination process and you can log
Wow.
off now.
Wow.
Now, did y'all hear when I said the boss I had previously, we were working together. We went to HR and everything. HR, the same person me and my boss went to, the same person who told me they chose to accelerate the elimination process.
Wow.
So that let me know my Caucasian counterparts still there. Were trained thoroughly. But because they didn't like my feedback, and I didn't say anything, but I wasn't trained. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on here.
You're going against the grain. You're going against the organization.
I guess I went against the organization. So they eliminated my position. They did pay a severance and all of that good stuff, but it was just the thing like privilege. So because the color of my skin and my concerns that I took to HR, you didn't treat me the same as you would treat my Caucasian counterparts.
So you think that was a racial privilege?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so we got racial privilege. How about I was coming to this one. How about pretty girl privilege?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I want to know both ways. How does it did it impact you in a positive way? And what ways do you think that it could have hurt you as it relates to in society or in the workplace, as relates to privilege, as it relates to the way in which you look?
So being pretty and privileged, this will be another work thing. I used to do contract work, y'all, back in the day. I was working in a financial district, had a temp position. I'm happy to be here, happy to help. It's income, holidays are coming, kids. I go in this office, I'm doing everything these people ask me to do. I did it for, I want to say this was maybe 2 days tops. At the end of day 2, the recruiter who helped me find the position, we worked together often. So she kind of knew me as a person and like my personality and everything. So she calls me after work. She's like, "Hi, Brittany." I said, "Hi." She said, "So I got a call. They said you had such a nasty attitude. And when they asked you to do things, you were acting as if you were doing them a favor." I said, "That's not me." She said, "No, I just called to see what went wrong." I said, "Nothing to my knowledge." But as I was working with the young lady who I was working with this particular day, they had me reporting to her. I noticed she was sick. You know how you can see somebody looking at you from your side, your peripheral?
Right.
So I'm sitting there. I see her looking at me, but I'm like, okay, maybe she's watching what I'm doing, making sure I'm making minimal errors. That was not the case. I think that was that pretty and privileged working against me. I had on little pencil skirt, little high heels. I'm in a baby. I'm in a financial district. I have to go here looking good. Okay, I gotta say business when I walk in, and business had me right back at home for another week or two. Now, on the upside of it, being pretty and privileged, that comes with like dating.
Okay.
So yes, I've had those encounters as well. People, you want to go to dinner or what you need me to do, but this was never nothing that was just, ongoing. And not only that, when you're pretty and privileged, you have people who will hop in your inbox and they want sexual favors, or they just think that because you're cute,
Right.
you ready to go with them on that level too. No, that's not the case. So I've dealt with both. It's not an easy thing, but once you learn how to navigate through life and dealing with those type of people, I think it works out. Don't let them drive you crazy.
Don't let them drive you crazy.
Don't let them drive you crazy.
Well, I'm gonna be honest.
Okay.
Like I said last week when we first decided to do this podcast, not only was we gonna be entertaining, we was gonna have fun, we was gonna crack jokes, we was gonna do all of that, but I also not only gave you a promise, but I promised a lot of people that decide to subscribe that I was going to be naked. I was going to be honest. I was going to tell my truth. So yes, I do feel that privilege, pretty girl privilege or good looking privilege, I think that does exist. Whether it's in reality or it's subconsciously, I think it exists because I even found myself, we have more patience for women that's pretty. Someone can be running late. You're like, man, what's taking them so long? Man, They walk in, they got that pencil dress on, they get all that. You like, you know what? It's all right that you're running late. I understand. Traffic was backed up. You know how the 290 is. We have more patience. But if I'm being completely honest, I feel that in a sense, I ain't gonna do this. In a sense, I feel that we project how we feel about ourselves onto other people. And the reason being, like I said, I promised I was going to be completely honest. Um, as a grown man, I never liked the color of my skin. Not um, not the color of my skin is saying I'm being black, the complexion of my skin. I hated that I was dark skinned. Even to this day, I hate the summer because guess what? I'm gonna turn dark. And I tend to my wife now is the only light skinned person I ever dated because I felt no one that didn't look like me would ever understand how I felt. And this goes all the way back to I'll never forget first grade. Her name was Alexis Cotton. Shout out to Alexis Cotton wherever you're at in the world. I'll never forget it. You know how when you was in grade school, we would sit at the desk and your desk is there and the person desk is right across from yours. So it was almost like you was like in the
Yeah.
box. And they used to call her the chocolate princess because she was so pretty. She had the most chocolate skin. She was like 3 shades darker than me. She was so pretty. She had this dark skin, and they would call her the chocolate princess. And I remember saying, if they think she's the chocolate princess, they think she's so pretty. If she can be my girlfriend, maybe I could be the chocolate prince. And I never forget, I wrote this letter. Will you be my girlfriend? The yes, no, maybe. And I slid across the table to her. Although she was pretty, I didn't see her as pretty because of the way in which I saw myself.
Okay.
So, but just the mere fact of they think that she's pretty because I didn't see my complexion as being attractive. I never thought I was attractive because of the color of my skin. So that's why I never got in trouble in school. I'm like, how could somebody that looks like me going to get in trouble? I'm not going to bring any attention to myself. I'm going to sit here in this corner. I'm going to come to class. I'm going to do what I have to do. I'm not going to crack any jokes because I don't want nobody crack jokes on me because I know that here come the darky jokes. And look, you my best friend. You never knew that.
Never knew that.
So I always felt a sense of being self-conscious because of the complexion of my skin. Then fast forward from her, every girlfriend I had after that, you know, my high school sweetheart, extremely dark skin. It was like people who I felt looked like me is the only people that could understand how I feel.
So let me ask you this. Was that your reason for dating like dark skinned people? Because you feel like nobody looked at them, or it was just only for them to understand how you feel?
Both. I felt no one would like me that didn't look like me. Like
Okay.
there's no way a light skinned girl will like me because of how dark I am. Now I got a better chance with the dark skinned girl because guess what? She's dark skinned too. She dealt with what I deal with, so she know what it's like to. Especially back then, before I started lifting weights and all that stuff, my lips was way bigger than my face and all. So it was. I had so much going on. It was like I didn't feel attractive. So it was like, you know what? I'm gonna stay in my lane, and if that lane mean I got to date women that looks exactly like me, that's what I'm gonna do. And then I found myself projecting that onto how I saw the world, how I saw people. If I drive down the street, if I saw a woman almost 300 feet away from me, if she was light skinned, I would wait and look. And then she probably was nowhere near attractive. But just because she was light skinned, she somehow got my attention. But if it was a dark skinned girl, it was like, whatever, I'm just gonna keep driving. Because that's just because, not because they wasn't beautiful, but it was because of how I saw my darkness. I saw my darkness of not being attractive or appealing to the opposite sex. So it was like, well, that's the only people that would want me is somebody that looked like me.
And here old yellow me is over here telling my friends, I always wanted me a chocolate baby.
You don't understand. I'm
Baby,
serious.
black is so beautiful.
Yeah, you and one of the reasons why I did decide, because first I said I wasn't gonna say nothing, but I can only imagine there's so many people that will look at me and think, oh, he's so confident, he feel good in his own skin, not knowing that when the summer come, I got my fisherman hat on because I want as less sun as possible to hit my face. When I'm at a family reunion, it's so much sun outside. I don't put my sunglasses on because I don't want to get that suntan around my eyes. It's so much that goes into you try to figure out, okay, why is it that I feel this way about me? Some people may say, yes, because of the stigma back in slavery when the light skin was in the house and the dark skin was out on the plantation. But I don't see that. All I see is when I look in the mirror, I didn't like what I saw. I felt subconscious of what I saw.
That goes back to generational curses because just like you just touched on, where people would say it may have been a stigma that came down from slavery. Well, Black people in general, they would make a deal out of how light you are. You're light skinned, but you're not light skinned. You're caramel. You're yellow. You're this. So I think that's just been a thing. That's a cultural thing. But I really believe, like you said, that could be a form of a generational curse. We don't know which generation it came from. Like you said, it just might have been something that was passed down as a trauma. But I believe that could have been where it just started, like in slavery, and it just came down and did, like you're saying, you don't know where it came from.
Yeah, because like I said, it goes all the way around. Because I never had anyone in my family tell me that I wasn't good looking because of the color of my skin. But all I know is when my sister, she's lighter than me. My dad, he's not light, but he's lighter than me. My mom, she's lighter than me. So it was always like, okay, well, I'm the dark one. Or it's like, man, I wish I had that. Honestly, I wish I had my sister's complexion. She's almost like your complexion. It was always, I wish I wasn't as dark as I was. And I do agree with you. I think dark is beautiful, but on other people. Because sometimes we have the tendency to show other people more grace than we show ourselves.
Absolutely.
Like we would give our friends, we would give other people the best advice in the world, but when it comes to ourselves, we so hard on ourselves. And I just, yeah, I figured I'd be completely open, honest, and naked as it relates to that is definitely something that I battled with for a long time as it relates to the complexion of my skin not being of my liking.
You took it all off with that one. You said be naked.
Yeah, so
okay. And if anybody wants to, if you guys want to provide any feedback or anything, you can call us at 708-223-8953. If you're watching us on YouTube, the number is behind Marcus as well.
So also, I definitely want to hurry up and go to another topic because I felt myself feeling some kind of way, and we ain't doing that today. Nah, we ain't doing that today. You ain't finna get me in my vulnerable state. We ain't doing that. So we're gonna jump to the next topic. And this is a topic that I know you definitely gonna love this one. I know you're gonna love this one. So with Thanksgiving season coming around, we all have those people, those matriarchs in our family that we think about the most, that we either miss the most or can't wait to see the most. I got a question. So tell me a story or a saying or anything in which your grandmother said to your younger self that you didn't understand when she said it, but now you definitely understand as your older self. Just give me a story or a saying or anything of that nature about your grandmother. And believe, I know your grandmother. She used to answer the phone for me all the time.
Her birthday was yesterday, too.
I know.
Happily heavenly birthday to grandma. She would have been 97. One of the sayings, I got it, but it didn't really mean, like you said, it didn't resonate with me at that particular time. And that was common sense is not common. I find myself during my adult years, I get short with people sometimes because I expect everybody to have a small piece of common sense. And like grandma said, common sense is not common. Everybody does not have it. And I mean, it can be as simple as having normal conversation with people. We talking about direction. What? What side of the street you said that was on? I said going north.
I know what I want from you, Brittany.
Which one?
And I know you got one.
What?
Give me one of your favorite grandma stories. Tell me a story with your grandma, something that to this day you still think about as it relates to your grandma.
You know what? I got a lot of them, but you just caught me. You put me on the spot with that one, the story. I can't just come to the forefront with that. I'll give you a Thanksgiving story though.
Let's hear it.
When we was cooking in the kitchen, she said, "Girl, I want you to get out this kitchen." I said, "Get out the kitchen?" "Yeah, cause you in the way. You gonna help me do something?" I help her do something. She got me cutting up onions and celery for her dressing. "Nah, Britt, you ain't cutting it right." I said, "Cutting it right?" Now I'm all of 8 years old. What you mean cutting it right? How am I supposed to cut it? I thought you just, chop, chop, chop. Inch it off a little bit, chop it off. Baby, the elders have a way to cut. Well, now I know. Being an adult, now I understand the way to cut.
See, I told you.
You get it done faster. You get it done faster.
See, I told you.
So she was showing me like how to cut celery and that type of thing. You cut along the lines and then you slice it off. Now you got celery dices. Same way with the onion. She said, "That's what I meant by you was in the way." I said, "Oh, well, now I know." So at that point, that's when I started to actually get in the kitchen with her, and just learning how to make those Thanksgiving dishes. But she used to know how to make sauce meat. Was a baker, so I regret not learning all of those things, even though people have kind of steered away from having like those type of meals. But I still regret not knowing how to like make some of those southern meals from scratch, as if she did. But we spent a lot of time in the kitchen after that point, after I learned how to, dice and boil water, do the simple things. Now I can start putting seasoning in the pot. So now I seasoned the pot. What you say? You smell grandma in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Now I knew what was going on. You need me to fry some chicken? That oil hot enough, grandma? Can I drop it? So I'm grateful for those times because my kids are always hungry. And those who know me, no, they always hungry. So yeah, I'm a little I got a little wrist. I'm good in the kitchen.
Well, that might have been your grandma, but that was definitely my girlfriend.
When she said you was good looking.
I know. I told you that was
You
my
know
girlfriend. Your grandma was
the
my
good
girlfriend. I
looking one
told you.
called Brittany. I say, who? Marcus.
Yeah, that was my girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
Let me see a story that my grandmother told that when I was younger I thought was hilarious, but it wasn't until I got older that I truly understand what she meant by her story. She told me a story. She said, "Baby, it was me." Oh, we got a call coming in. I'm gonna hold this story. I'm gonna wait till the caller. Yeah, that's right. You out on the line? Who are you and where you calling from?
Yo, this is Brittany's little brother, DJ. Hey, y'all.
What's going
Hey,
on?
DJ.
Y'all, this podcast is bomb, but I called in for one specific reason.
Okay.
Brittany, you have to tell the story about how the light-skinned and dark-skinned kids would eat on Thanksgiving.
You know what? That would be going back to what we just discussed. So
Yes.
okay.
Go ahead, tell a story. Turn
Is it
your
Bluetooth?
phone down a little bit so we'll be able to hear you.
Your phone down a little bit so we'll be able to hear you. Okay, I turned it down.
All right, thank you.
So now you can correct me if I'm wrong. He this was his. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember you saying the light skinned children always ate first. I don't recall this. So if you need to chime in and tell this story and let me piggyback off something, maybe you need to awaken the memory or something with me. But if you need to go ahead and start telling this story, then I can probably tune in with you.
See, but that goes back to what I was saying. Although it probably was a fun family game where like, oh, you light skin, you eat first, or you dark skin, you eat last. But there was a difference that was placed upon the light skin and the dark skin. So guess what? Although I feel the way I feel, No one would have known in my family because I didn't. This is the first time I ever shared this. So if that was a game that was played in my house or in my kitchen, I would have been sitting in the back of the line saying, "See, here we go." Because of the way I look, I got to now eat last. And it's that's one of those things where I feel that, and that's one of the reasons why I actually shared it because I know I'm not the only one to feel this way.
Absolutely.
I know that a lot of people, because you know what, and it also works in vice versa. It's a whole lot of expectation that's placed upon light skinned people. You are expected to be pretty. You are expected to always know the answer because at least that, from my perspective, when I was growing up, I always thought light skinned people had the answers. I always thought light skinned people was the smartest. I always thought light skinned people was the prettiest. I always thought light skinned people got all everything they wanted. So there's an expectation that come with that. I don't want to keep your brother on the line. You still there? Oh, he gone.
DJ.
He gone.
Oh,
He was gone. Well, I
was
appreciate
here.
you calling in,
he
DJ.
was still there.
Oh. All right, so I'm gonna get to my story about my grandma before we have to hurry up and get out of here. So,
Okay.
the story she told me, she said, "Baby, it was her and her three sisters. She lost her mother at the age of 4, and she always told the story that I was a woman before I was ever a child. She said I had to help raise my sisters, then I had to help raise my cousins because we had daddy. You know, she said her daddy was so mean, and he ruled the house with iron fists. You know, it wasn't like it is now. Like they knew how to rule their household, and because they didn't have a lot of money, they had to find ways of having fun. So what they used to do for fun, they'd go down to the river, and they would just put their head under the water and see who can hold their breath the longest. That was their game. Who can hold their breath the longest under the water? So they'll go under there, they'll hold their breath, they'll count, they'll come out. I had 5 seconds, you had 6 seconds. That was their game. So she said we played that game every day. We always played that game. So I'm sitting, I remember like it was yesterday as a little kid listening to her tell this story. And then she said, in one day, years later, after playing those type of games, the oldest sister said, you know what? I'm tired of having to share food with my sisters. I'm about to kill them. That's how I used to go back in the day. They scraping for food. I'm about to kill them. So what she did was she said, come on, y'all. She's the oldest sister. She took my grandmother and her baby sister and she walked them all the way out to the deep so they can drown. Walked them all the way out there to the deep so they can drown. But not knowing that she was already playing the game as a kid of how to hold her breath. So, long story short, when she got back, and I said, Grandma, what was the purpose of that story? She said, sometimes God would have you doing things for practice, not knowing that you would need it later on in life. So, although what was meant for my bad, I was only playing a game as a kid of learning how to hold my breath. But because I learned how to hold my breath all those times, I was able to hold my breath when I really needed it. So those one of the stories that I always hold with me, that any and everything that I go through as an adult, it could be a door closed here. It's only teaching me and it's preparing me for the moment in which I have to hold my breath. So those are one of the things that it definitely motivate me to get through whatever it is I'm going through. I think about that story with my grandmother that what she thought was just a game to her turns out to be the thing that saved her life.
That's powerful.
So anything that I'm going through, I always say, all right, grandma, I'm learning how to hold my breath. I'm learning how to hold my breath. So those are one of the stories that when she told me when I was younger, it was funny. It didn't make sense. But the older I've gotten, I definitely understand. Now I'm just learning how to hold my breath. That's one of my favorite stories.
I like that.
And man, time is flying today. So I tell you what, now we about to get into what's the buzz would be, where someone wrote in a letter that they actually want Brittany to read, and she is going to answer this letter to the best of her ability. I can't wait to hear this. I ain't gonna say a word. This is all on you.
You ready? Dear B, I just recently got married to a man that started out as my best friend. We met in college many years ago, and I admit that we fooled around from time to time, but never anything serious. As years went by, we stayed in touch, but became completely platonic friends. He was there for me through thick and thin, through relationships, financial hardships, and lastly with dealing with my deadbeat child's father. Although I'm married to my then best friend, I honestly thought my child's father was going to be my first and only husband, considering I always dreamed of having a family. It wasn't until I found myself alone in the hospital after going into labor that I realized that that dream was never going to come true. Like always, my best friend showed up in ways unimaginable to support me. Years later, we are married and have no children between us. Yet he helps me raise all three of my children, including my now 6-year-old daughter. Since he and I have no children together, he asked me to have a conversation with my child's father so he could legally adopt my daughter. What should I do?
Before you answer that question, let me try to summarize. So I want to make sure I got it because I was following along with you. I want to make sure I got it. So a woman, she married her long, long lasting best friend. They now together, and now he wants to adopt a child from her previous relationship, and she wants to know how she should go about having that conversation or what she should do.
Yeah, he
All right,
wants
cool.
her to reach out to the child's father and ask him about
Hmm.
basically signing his rights over so the husband can adopt the child. So yes.
All right, B. Well, go ahead, do your thing. What she should do?
My thing would be the child is 6 now, and the best friend has showed up. He's showed up on numerous occasions. I will wonder, has this child ever had a relationship with this biological father? Because that would be something to take into consideration because you have people who aren't willing to, give up their parental rights for a child, even if he's only spent time with her maybe 2 to 3 times or a few times throughout the 6 years. He may not be willing to do that. So I don't know if she was on speaking terms with the child's father, but
But let's say, for the sake of argument, they're not, because we all know, and yes, I'm a man, but I'm a realist as well.
mm,
We know how we have so many men that would come in and be the hero for these kids. They're not helping financially, they're not helping emotionally, they're not doing anything. But when they pop up into these kids' life, they the fun dad. They're doing all the things in which these kids want them to do. The child don't understand the hardship that their mom is going through.
absolutely.
So let's say, for the sake of argument, because you didn't put that in there, let's say for the sake of argument that he only popped in and out when it's convenient for him. But yet and still, that best friend, now her husband, is at the house, being a father, being a husband, being a caretaker, being a provider for this family. And now he wants to actually legally adopt this child. What should she do?
In that case, I would tell her, go ahead and call him. Go ahead and give that child's father a call because if he's one of those fathers, like you said, he's in and out. That goes back to what we talked about last week. That's not good for the kid. Consistency is always best. Like you said, they need structure. So to be in a two-parent household, to see a mother and father, how a man should love a woman, to see somebody fully be a provider, to have somebody to show up to those school events, all of those things matter. So I would side with her and tell her, go ahead and give him a call and try and get that adoption started, or get her husband a baby too. Do both. Go and get that man a baby.
That's a good one. Well, I hope that helped that young lady out, whoever wrote that letter. And we're not going to stop there. So whoever that's listening to this podcast and they want to write a letter, you can send it to nofriendzone .com, and we'll have those emails, and you can send out, and we'll answer that question next week. But for that buzz with B, that's B with 2 E's, not one. Like B, like the honeycomb.
Zzz.
All right, now we about to get into that segment where I call snaps, not claps, where I would either, well, not either. I'm going to do both. I talk about someone whom has have inspired me, as well as give a piece, or one day we may have someone that also inspires me to come up here to give a piece of their own. So the person in which I'm going to speak on today that inspires me is none other than Tashika Benson, where in which she can be found on Tashika Benson or Benson Tashika on Facebook. She has a new stage play coming out that runs through February through April, the Bobby Womack story, in which you can buy tickets at theater47.com. There's so much I can say about her. So I'm gonna try to keep it brief. She's a woman that she would ignore the growl of her stomach just to feed somebody else.
Beautiful.
She's a woman that will every Saturday you ask her, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Oh, I got this funeral I got to go sing to." She goes and sing for everybody. But those same people whom in which she support, they nowhere to be found when she have anything going on. She's the person who I talked about at the very beginning of the show who is offering to open her up her home to have everyone come and celebrate Thanksgiving her house. Um, you know how last week how you talked about how so many people that they should be supporting you or encouraging you to do certain things.
Yeah.
She's that one. She's the one who actually started me to even want to do this show. And she's the one who said, "Man, you should go do your own show." Rather her to say, "Man, I don't want him to do his own show because, man, what about my show?" She never did that. She encouraged me to get on here and do this show. So that it behooves me to actually give her a shout out to say just how much she inspires me, not just as a woman, but as a person in general. Tashika always inspires me to be who she is. That's my fave. I love her to death.
That's your big cousin.
Yep. Everybody my big cousin. I'm the baby around here. I'm the baby brain. So I'm gonna do my piece, and it's almost fulfilling because how I talked about how, although I did have this self-conscious trauma as it relates to the color of my skin or the complexion of my skin, I am still extremely proud to be a black man. And if I could talk to the younger me, this is what I would say. Hey, little black boy, do you smell that? It's the blood of your ancestors buried at the bottom of the Pacific, flesh ripped away by the savages of the hungry sharks. Hey, little black boy, do you hear that? It's Dr. Martin Luther King standing on a mountaintop. I have a dream that my four little children will one day live in a nation where they wouldn't be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. That's Malcolm X tirelessly attempting to educate his people that it wasn't us that landed on Plymouth Rock. Rather, it was Plymouth Rock that landed on us, dedicated to prosperity by any means necessary. Hey, little black boy, shh. That's your intelligence that you have suppressed. Your forefathers driving his master down a dirt road, approaching an intersection that displayed a top sign. If you stop, you alert the master that it was through the chill within the darkness you and the other slaves were taught how to read, or do I sacrifice my life by driving onto incoming traffic? Little black boy, where is your leadership? It was the family's fire pit that Harriet Tubman drug logs from the woods that she threw into the fire pit only to notice some of the logs were missing. Tossing in another log only to realize that a hole was in the pit, so she crawled through a pit that led to a railroad. She could have kept going, but it was the songs that were sung together on the plantation's hot sun that caused her to go back and lead thousands to freedom. Little back boy, dwell in your chair. Rosa Parks, being too tired to stand, but yet making a stand. I refuse to be moved. I paid the same fare as the woman that doesn't look like me, so today I will not move. Little black boy, take your place. Raised on the south side of Chicago, constantly breaking the mold of everything society said we should be. They're loud, so he spoke strength through his calm nature. They can never be leaders because they are raised only in a one parent household. He became the leader of the free world, president of the United States of America, Barack Obama. They make babies and they leave them, and it's successful. He would never stay with a black woman. Little black boy, where's your queen? Maya Angelou called her phenomenal, a phenomenal woman. Michelle Obama, woman enough to let him be a man while she ruled the world. Little black boy. So if I was to talk to that little black boy, I'd be talking to myself.
I love that.
You love that one?
That's beautiful.
All right, you can have that one. I'm gonna
That's
send that. I'm
beautiful.
gonna send that one to you.
That's
I'm gonna send that one to
beautiful.
you. Well, it's almost getting closer down to the end of the hour that we have to make sure we give somebody something they can hold on to, something they can look forward to, something that will help motivate them get through the rest of the week. So, Brittany, I want you to start off, and I want you to give an encouraging word to somebody that's listening, somebody that may watch, they not live, they might watch it tomorrow. Give an encouraging word that can help somebody through.
So I'm gonna say the same thing that I posted this morning, which was it was motivational. I was explaining how we have made it to the last week of November. A lot of people have not made it this far. And my word of the day was ignore, but I want to encourage people to take this with them throughout the week. Everything does not deserve a reaction. Your silence will be your greatest weapon of all time. We have to master being quiet. The power of silence is everything. Have a blessed week.
I love that one. I like that. I tell people sometimes the loudest thing you can say is absolutely nothing.
Absolutely
Um,
nothing. Learn when to shut up.
For me, my word of the day, or for the week, is you're losing oxygen. And what I mean by you losing oxygen, I want you, sir, you, ma'am, you, and whomever that's listening, I want you to know that you're enough, and you have to be unselfishly selfish where you take care of yourself. And the reason why I say you're losing oxygen, when you're on an airplane, the stewardess, she stand in the middle of the aisle. She say, if we just so happen to lose air pressure in the cabin, I want you to put your mask on first before you help the person next to you. She never or he never specify, hey, only if it's your child, only if it's your mom, only if it's your father. She say, put your mask on first before you help the person next to you. So I want any and everybody that's listening, I want you to know that it's okay to love you. It's okay to say, you know what, today is not a good day. I need to take a breather, because what good are you to anybody if you're not good to yourself? That's including your kids, that's including your parents, that's including your job, that's including everybody.
Don't forget your spouse.
Your spouse, any and everybody. Because what good are we to anybody if we're not good to ourselves? And they tell us, put your own mask on first, because you know what? You can't help someone survive if you lose oxygen. So put your mask on. Put your mask on today, and then you'll be able to help everybody else going forward once you put your mask on first. So, no, I'm gonna get a shirt saying that. Put your mask on.
Put your mask
Put
on.
your mask on.
Who making shirts?
Put your
Who
mask
making
on.
shirts?
Put your mask on. So whoever listening, I want you to put your mask on. And that does not mean that you love the people in your life any less. That just means that you love yourself more. And you have to love yourself more, because you can't give love if you don't have love for yourself. You can't get water if you dry. You can't climb if you don't got knees. So
And
you
I come
got to
before
be
you in the alphabet anyway.
what? I kind of like that one. No, we're gonna end on that one. You know what? First and foremost, before we get out of here, I want to thank everybody. Brittany, whether you believe it now, how fast our subscribers and our community has been, it's definitely
Growing.
been popping, it's been growing fast. So I want to thank everybody who has been supporting us, who have keep supporting us. Reach out, tell other people to check us out every Monday at 8 o'clock. On our YouTube channel on Intellectual Radio. You can call the number at 1708-223-8953 every Monday at 8 o'clock. If you heard something today and you want to talk about it next week, you can call in, and I guarantee you we'll still remember, and we can talk about it. You guys have a great night, have a great week, and we will be back next week.
Come on, come on, come on, come on. Yeah. I see you, baby. Get your shine on. Get your glow up.